welcome you all to my channel. If this is your first time of coming to my channel, thanks a lot. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe. So this corset tutorial is one of the most requested tutorials so far, and I'm so happy to put up this video. So this video is going to come in form of a series. We have corset 101, corset 102 and corset 103. So if you're interested in learning how to achieve all these kind of corsets, which is how to cut your corset with tube, how to cut your yoke corset, and how to achieve your triangular batik corset, then this series of corset tutorial is for you. All you have to do is give this video a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you can get notifications once a video pop up. Okay, so what are the basic measurements required in order for you to achieve your tube corset? Now we need our basic measurements, which is our shoulder measurements, bust measurements, waist measurements and our top length. Now our shoulder measurement is 14. We have 14 divided by 2. We have 7. Our bust is 36. 36 plus 2 divided by 4 plus 1. We have 10.5. Our waist is 28. 28 plus 2 divided by 4 plus 2. We have 9.5. Our top length is 18. 18 plus 2 inches, we have 20 inches. Now, in order for you to achieve your tube corset, there are two ways in which you can calculate your top length. The first method is you have your normal length plus your allowance, and when you want to cut, you now deduct your tube from it. Now you can also deduct your tube, the measurement for your tube, directly from your measurement. So let's say you want to take away about 6 inches in order to know where your tube is going to start from. So our length now is 20, so you just take away 6 inches, you are going to have 14 inches. So it simply means that when you are taking your top length, you will take 14 inches. That is if you are deducting your tube measurement directly from your fabric, and if you are not, you will still make use of your 20 inches, which I'm going to explain how to achieve that if you are using the first method. Okay, now don't forget to join us for trainings are available. I'm going to put trainings are available. I'm going to go ahead and put down the details in the description box. If you are interested, join us for training, and feel free to drop your questions in the course of this video in the comment section, or any topic you want us to make a video on, and I'm going to do just that. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe. So now let's move to the sewing part of this tutorial. So guys, in today's tutorial we'll be dealing with tube corsets, right? So I'm going to be making use of this cup for my tube, and I also have a video on how to achieve your tube with your wadding. Okay, this is just like a series of corsets, so make sure you stay tuned and watch all the series of the corset. So all you have to do is subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you can get notifications once a video pop up. Okay, now I'll be making use of this bust cup, and I have a video on how to know what size of bust cup you should buy for your bust. So I'm going to go ahead and link that down, and I'll be making use of this bony, and with me here is the sewable form of bony. Okay, this is the sewable form of bony. Now one thing you also need to take note of when you are drafting your tube, is to determine how many inches you want to take off for your tube. So determine how many inches you want to take off. Note that the more inches you take off, you determine where your tube will start from. So I'm going to be making use of 6 inches. I'm going to be taking about 6 inches off. Note that this 6 inches is not constant, so you can make use of 7, you can make use of 5, 5.5. It just depends on how deep you want it to be. So that aside, now we'll go ahead now and mark our basic lines. We'll be marking our basic lines. So we have our armhole, which is 9 inches, our bust, which is 9.5, our bust point 13 inches, waist bust point 13 inches, under bust 16 inches, our waistline 18 inches, and our top length I'll be making use of 21 inches. So these are the basic lines. I will go ahead now and connect my lines together. With that, the next thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and mark our dart measurement. Okay, go ahead and mark your dart measurement. So my dart measurement is 4.5. I will go ahead now and connect the lines together. Done with that, on your under bust line, you go ahead and mark 1.5. On your under bust, mark 1.5. Connect it to your bust point. Connect it to your bust point this way. So we'll go ahead now and connect that. Now this is what you have, but make sure you don't have a sharp edge here. So go ahead and smoothen up this point to give it like a round curve at this part, so that you don't have like a sharp edge at your bust point. Now with that, the next thing you are going to do is, on your bust point, go ahead and mark 1/2 inch on your bust point. Mark 1/2 inch on your bust point. So this is our 1/2 inch. Now you will go ahead now and connect your 1 inch to your bust point, and also connect your bust point to your under bust. So just go ahead and connect this. Make sure you don't have a sharp edge. So I hope you guys can see it. So this is what it looks like. You can see that you don't have any sharp edge. This other part, now what you have from your dart line to this your bust point, we are going to have 4 inches. Now the reason why you have 4 inches is because we marked 4.5 inches for our dart line, and then we took in 1/2 inch. So what you are going to have left now is 4 inches. So you come to this. The next thing you are going to do now is you are going to go ahead and mark what you have for this part on this other side. Now for our dart line, we have 4.5 inches. That is from our dart line to our center front. But on this bust line, we went in with 1/2 inch. So what we have left is 4 inches. So you can go ahead and just measure what you have at this point. You have 4 inches. So you also place it at this other side, 4 inches, and then you mark it. Now you will also go ahead now and connect your 1 inch on this part to where you have your 4 inches to your under bust. So let's go ahead now and connect that. So this is what you have. You can see that your corset is already coming up, and trainings are available. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put down the details below. Now The next thing you are going to do now, is you are going to extend this your under bust line to your top length. Extend this because you are going to cut it out like your dart. So you go ahead and extend it. So once you extend it now, this is what you are going to have. You are going to cut out this part, so just indicate that you are going to cut it out with this line. So this is basically very easy, right? So the next thing you are going to do now is you are going to go ahead now and input your measurement. So our bust measurement now is 10.5. Now for your corset, it is very important or necessary for you to add extra inches to your basic measurement. Now the reason why you are adding extra inches is because on this your bust line now, you have 1 inch on this part and 1 inch on this part. So you are going to cut out 2 inches here. On your under bust to your top length, we marked 1.5, 1.5. This is already 3 inches going off by this lower side. So I will advise that you add about 4 inches or 5 inches to your basic measurement. So by the time you cut all this off, you will still have like your dress fitting to your basic measurements. So now we'll go ahead now and mark our bust measurements. We'll go ahead now and mark our bust measurements. Our initial bust measurement is 10.5. So I'll be adding about 5 inches to mine. So I'll be having 15.5. And also for my waist measurement also, I will also be adding 5 inches to it, right? So this is what we have. Let me just go ahead and connect our bust line to our waistline. Now this is what we have. Now you can determine, like I said earlier, I said it just depends on how revealing you want this upper part to be. If you want to cover up, you can extend this line to where you want your tube to start from. Let's assume that you want to cover up. You extend this line to where you want your tube to start from. So on this line now is where you're going to mark your 1 inch and you're going to mark your 1 inch, right? So on this line now is where you're going to connect it this way and you connect it this way too. So that is what you're going to have. So you will discover that you have a bigger cup. You can see where it's getting up to. You have a bigger cup. But if you want it to be revealing, all you have to do is you will go ahead now and cut this out, because this is where your tube is going to start from. This is where your corset is going to start from. So I'll go ahead now and cut this out. So I've gone ahead now to cut this out, and this is what we have. So you discovered that I added about, let's say, 1 inch so that my corset can start from here, so that it won't be too revealing. Okay, so now we'll go ahead now and cut this out. But before you cut it out, it is necessary for you to label your corset, like your bust part. So we have the side, we have your side corset, center front, and your center front corset. Now the reason why it's necessary for you to label it is that so that you don't mix up this part, because if you mix up this part, you're going to have a funny shape. So if you have any question, feel free to drop it in the comment section, and you can also join us for training. I'm going to put down the details in the description box below. So I'll go ahead now and cut this out. Guys, after cutting this out, this is what we have. You can see your center front, and you can see this is what we have for our tube corset. So I'll go ahead now and draft the back block. So for the tube, you also go ahead and mark your basic lines, and also don't forget to place out the number you took off for your front block. So once you are done with that, this is what you are going to have. So the next thing we are going to do now is we'll go ahead and mark our zip allowance, which I'll be making use of 2 inches. I will connect it all the way. Now I will go ahead and mark my dart line 4.5, and then I will connect it together. On my waistline now, on my waistline I will mark 1/2 inch on both sides. I will go ahead and connect the lines together. Now for the back block, we are not adding any extra 4 or 5 inches to the back block. The reason is because we don't have any darts we are cutting around this part. So if that is the case, what you have to do now is we'll go ahead and take our initial measurement, okay, our bust measurement, which is 10.5. We'll take our waist measurement, and on the top length we'll mark our hip measurement. So we'll go ahead and connect these lines together. So basically this is what it looks like, our tube for the back block. So we'll go ahead now and cut this out. So guys, we want to cut out our tube corset. We've gone ahead to fold our fabric into 2. Now for this smaller part where you have your center front, make sure it stays at this closed edge. So this is what we have. This is what we have. So we'll go ahead now and cut this out. This is what we have. So this is our side piece, our 2 cup for the corset, our middle piece. We have another 2 sides for the corset and the side piece, okay. And we've also gone ahead to cut out our lining the same way with our fabric. So the next thing you are going to do now, this is the front block, okay. So the next thing you are going to do now is you will go ahead and stitch this part together. You stitch this side and you will also stitch this part so you can see what it looks like. So once you are done, like I said earlier, I said I'm making use of the sewable bony, so you can actually sew on this type of bony. So go ahead and place your bony, but make sure you iron it so that it can lay flatly well. So once you are done with that, you place your bony this way and then you go ahead and stitch it. Next thing you are going to do now is you are going to take the 2 pieces of your corset and then you go ahead and stitch them together. You go ahead and stitch them to give you a single piece. After stitching it, this is what you are going to have. So you go ahead and place your cup under it this way. Place your cup and go ahead and stitch it to secure it first before you attach it to the main fabric. So this is what you are going to have for the bust area. So the next thing you are going to do is it's very simple. What to do next is go ahead and attach your corset to this part. Now you discover that we have like a midline here, which happens to be where we divided our corset. Go ahead and make sure it stays equally with your midline on this part. So you go ahead now. So you go ahead and stitch this all the way round. You stitch this all the way round, and you also do the same for the second side of the fabric. So once I'm done with that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So for the back block, it's very simple. So just go ahead and cut out your lining. You will discover that our lining is shorter than the main fabric with about 1 inch, just to give it like this neat finishing at the lower side. So you go ahead now and turn your back block. After turning your back block, the next thing you have to do for the back block now is to go ahead and fixing. So guys, after fixing your cup, you can see what the corset looks like. You can see, and you can see the way our bony laid straight. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So I'll go ahead now and join up the lining and use the lining to turn this, so you can have a closer look of how the bust area is. You can see the corset. This is actually so beautiful, and you can see the bony just holding it firm. So after turning it with our lining, guys, this is what we have. You can see the front block, you can see your corset, you can see the cup of our corset, and for the back block, this is what we have. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And we have our back block and our front block. You can see the corset effect. So use your bust measurements and your waist measurement to couple this up. So once you are done with that, this method of corset is where we inserted our bony into the fabric. So the other video I have on how to achieve your corset with yoke, I explained how to fix in your corset on your bony on the fabric. So if you're interested in learning how to fix in your bony on the fabric, especially if you are not using the sewable form of bony, then all you have to do is turn on the notification bell so that you get notified once the video pop up. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye. So guys, this is what we have. So we have our front block and then we have our back block. So this is what we have. So use your bust measurements and your waist measurement to couple this up to give you a single piece, and you can see the corset effect and also our bony. So this is what we have.